been home shopping for a while now, and maybe you're starting to notice an odd thing about a few of the homes that you're seeing. Some of them are showing as having gone under contract, but then after a few days or even weeks, they come back listed as available again. When a home goes under contract but doesn't close, we call that falling out of escrow or falling out of contract. And it can be a little bit concerning when you're looking at a home that fell out of escrow. In the back of your mind, you're probably asking, what's up with that? Is there something wrong with it? And how often do closings fall through anyway? So today, we're going to talk about some of the more common reasons that a home might fall out of escrow and might not make it to closing. Hi there, and welcome to my channel. I'm Stephanie Frost, a real estate agent in Ocala, Florida, and I'm here every week to talk about all things real estate in the Ocala and Marion County area. And while you're here, remember to like and subscribe, because I do this every week, and sooner or later I'm bound to come up with something that you might want to know about. So how often do home sales fall through, and why might a home fall out of escrow after it goes under contract? Well, fortunately, they don't fall through very often. And when they do, it's not always because of the home itself. There's a few different reasons why a home sale might go south. The first reason is that, there might actually be an issue with the home, and the potential buyer discovered it when they had their inspections done. You just can't see every potential issue that a home might have on the first visit. You probably won't see them on the second or even the third visit either. Which is why it's so important to get a home inspection done by a licensed inspector. And I know that I repeat myself about that a lot, but it's really important. A good home inspector will check for things like water leaks, the condition of the roof, the status of the heating and cooling systems, the electrical panel, plus a whole host of other stuff. And sometimes what he finds can be a deal killer. Now, in a perfect world, a seller would fix everything that's wrong with a home before they put it on the market. But the reality is, most times a seller is just as surprised as the buyer is when the inspector finds an issue. So what happens when the home inspector turns up a problem? Well, if the issue's a big one, the seller may be willing or able to have it repaired before closing, or maybe they'll offer to reduce the price of the home so that the buyer can get it fixed after closing. Or in some cases, the buyer may want the home badly enough to buy the home anyway. But sometimes the seller's unwilling or unable to reduce the price or to do the repairs, and the buyer doesn't have the budget or the inclination to buy the home and do them themselves. So the contract gets canceled and the home goes back on the market. Of course, it may not have been anything major at all. It may just have been a disagreement between the seller and the potential buyer about what the home inspector found. I've had deals fall out of escrow over things as simple as a leaky kitchen faucet or peeling drywall tape in the garage. Things that were really minor and inexpensive fixes, but the buyer was bothered enough that they wouldn't move forward without repairs, and the seller didn't see why they should be on the hook with it when plenty of other people were lined up to buy the house as is. I actually had one contract fall apart because the buyer had an argument with one of the neighbors while they were at the home during the home inspections, and they just up and decided that they didn't want to live near those people, so they canceled. It wasn't the home's fault, but it fell out of escrow just the same. Another thing that can cause a home to fall out of escrow is an appraisal issue. Sometimes the appraisal doesn't come in at the purchase price, which can be a huge problem for both the buyer and for the seller. Now, this can happen in any market, but in a market where prices are going up month after month, then it gets to be a whole lot more common, and we're seeing it a whole lot more these days. Or sometimes a home may not appraise at the contract price because the home itself is really unusual. Appraisers have to use similar properties for their appraisals, so if the home is outside the norm, it's going to be harder for them to get a real accurate value on it. Homes like container homes, geodesic domes, even homes with separate apartments can be tricky to appraise unless there's a lot of them in the area to compare to. So if a home doesn't appraise at contract price for some reason, there's only a couple of options, and if the seller won't reduce the price and the buyer can't or won't come up with a difference, then the home's going to fall out of escrow. And the third reason that a home might fall out of escrow is that the buyer ultimately couldn't perform. Now, real estate agents and mortgage brokers qualify potential buyers as best we can. But even though a buyer has been pre-qualified for a loan or even has a complete pre-approval for one, there's still a slim chance that something extraordinary could happen. It could be something as simple as the buyer opening a new line of credit or buying a new car before closing, so suddenly they no longer qualify for the loan. Because lenders are going to do a final check just before closing. Or it could be something more serious like divorce, job loss, and even death. Sadly, it does happen. So again, even though there's not anything wrong with the home itself, it will still fall out of escrow and wind up back on the market. So hopefully you have a little more clarity on why a home might fall out of escrow. And now you know that it's not necessarily because there's something wrong with the house itself. So don't let it bother you when you see a home that you like that came back on the market. Just do your due diligence and have your agent find out why it happened. You might just get that home after all.